Yo, yo. Yo, yo. Oh, I'm not doing A to Z when I get back. We're gonna take a break. I'll maybe do like 1 or 2 champs a day, but I'm not gonna non-stop do it. We're taking breaks. It's not worth spamming. You just get nowhere. It's gonna be slow burned for sure. Shit takes way too long to figure out. Do I need... Breaks are good. Everyone needs a break from something. Yo, yo. Everybody needs a break from something. Life is very tiresome. I mean, I've been building metal for a while now. It's not bad. It's annoying. Metal is just tedious. Very, very tedious, I think is the best way to put it. Super tedious. Yeah, I think this is where I put glasses on so I don't get fucking metal sharp flakes into my eyes and then go blind. Nope. We're good. We're chilling. Probably not going to be streaming much today. I've got a little bit of cleaning to do. My brother's going to come over and help me get some shit done. So I'll most likely, if I do any league or anything crazy, it'll be like super late tonight. I just want to get some stuff done. Life busy. Always busy. Fucking phlegm, Jesus. Phlegegum. No, these are Lord of the Rings minis. These are latex. They're just black. Or whatever the fuck they are. They should be. If anything, they're... Lord of the Rings minis. The goats. The old goats of Lord of the Rings. What I'd love to do is paint these. I think what I'm going to do is base them. If I can clean up all these, I'll throw them on bases, I'll base them, and then paint them on stream. Because I still can't work on my Age of Sigmar stuff. Because I have cuts, and I don't want putty in my cuts. That's not good. So, I figured, you know what? If I'm doing this, it may be a little bit more feasible to get old stuff done that I wanted to do anyways. But either way, long process no matter what. Long process. Metal is just more of the obnoxious, get everything so you don't miss something. We're not doing A to Z today. No. If anything, League will be later tonight, and I just want to play TF, so... There's no way I can do A to Z nonstop every stream. That'll take like a month straight. Probably 2 months straight, to be honest, at this rate. Yeah, so I think it's just better to kind of do it off and on. Every day is misery. Super misery. But at least we started it, and we're like almost to B, so that's not bad. Getting to B wasn't incredibly impossible. Maybe play, but this is more of like a nostalgic thing. These are some of the first minis I got into Warhammer with, so for me, it's more of just getting things done that are sitting in bins. And this is pretty easy to finish because there's no conversions, there's nothing, it's just pure nostalgia. Just the ability to make something and not think about it is very ideal. But Jesus Christ, there's so many little metal bits and things, like, ay, ay, ay. Should be doing is wearing a mask for this fucking... No, I do everything. I do everything. When you're in the hobby, you typically do a lot of stuff. You do as much as you can. Not that everyone wants to do all that stuff, but eventually you'll get bored and be like, yeah, you know, maybe I want to play the game. Or maybe I want to do this. Or maybe I want to do that, right? It's kind of a matter of, like, just not having enough to do, and then you work your way into different things. Let me do something on. Yo, yo. What am I looking at here? Hang on. Yo, 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 yo. Did you manage to finish your nasty Great Unclean one? And your other weird shit? Did you get that done? So much to do, so little time. Such is life. Well, for today, yeah. Legal, if anything, I'll do League later tonight, like really late. I have been emptying this room, and my living room's a fucking mess. I've got like 5 bins of things that need to be taken care of. So there's no time to game. Because ideally, when I stream on this channel, I have no... I mean, I guess I have no obligations to, like, you know, oh, I gotta be there for 30 hours a day on the main channel. Ideally, it's like 6 to 8. But working on Warhammer could be like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, you know, instead of being stuck in like a League game for however long. Just easier to get on here and kind of chill for a bit for like an indefinite amount of time. Which is not a bad gig. Hmm. I mean, this is just doing whatever. This channel wasn't really meant for much, right? So I could get on here and like pick my toenails with a fucking toothpick for all I care. Like, there's not much that goes on this channel. That's kind of the idea, right? Just kind of it's a hangout. It's a whatever. It is a do whatever channel. Don't think too much, just do something. Which is always a good thing, you know? Some people need to sometimes think a little bit less. Krakumel. Krakumel. Krakumal. Krakumel. Crackmule. Sometimes airbrush. I used to airbrush a little bit more back in the day. I think the last time I airbrushed, I just did fatigues on like Cadians or something. It's good to do. I'm not going to be airbrushing these guys. There's literally no point, but I mean, base airbrushing bases is pretty convenient, yeah. Or just base coats, depending on what you want. I think the problem with the airbrush is more so if you want to make it worthwhile, you need to kind of like having a permanent setup for an airbrush instead of a temporary one is better, right? Because you can just walk over, airbrush, and be done. and then leave that set up, but it's still there ready to go when you need it. It's always the inconvenience of setting something up when you want to work. That's not fun. Whenever you want to do something, it should be, like, ready to do. Not that everyone has that option, but it's just, it's a little bit better. Keep things quick and consistent. You don't have to, like, sit around and contemplate, you know, do I want to set this up and then take it apart? If you've got space, turn that shit into a studio. Get the airbrush booth, get everything. I think once I maybe one day get a bigger place, I'd like the airbrush booth. Because it is just truly inconvenient to set up. Spearhead right now, I worked on it a bit a while ago, but I'm waiting because I've got cuts on my hands and I don't want to putty with, like, cuts. Because I can't putty with gloves on, it doesn't work well. So once my hands can heal properly and I can actually, like, roll up putty and do all that stuff, then I'll continue it, because I'm basically done. Or I'm done the infantry, I should say. And it's good to work on multiple things. I actually, again, like I said earlier, I cleared a bunch of bins out of this room full of stuff that I just don't use anymore. And I've made a bunch of shelf space so I can kind of, like, have all my projects set up. So this is now going on the project shelf instead of in the pile of shame. So the spearhead's still going to get done. I just want to work on something else in the meantime while my hands heal. Because I do got to get that done. I'm pretty deep into that project. And it'd be wise to finish it, you know? Like, it's not really worthwhile doing something half-assed and then leaving it. So. Either way, this needed to get done, so, like, why not start it? It's the easiest project of them all. There's no conversions, there's nothing. It's glue a miniature to a base, put basing material, and paint it. It's pure nostalgia. It's meant to look as it did 2000s when I first got into the hobby. Just to do something, you know? Even to paint on stream. Chances of me painting these guys, like, quicker than the fucking spearhead, probably a thing. Spearhead's a little bit, you know, we gotta figure out a few things, but... But yeah, space is pretty rough to find. Normally, the way space works is, the ground is completely taken, right? You've got your bookcases, you got whatever, your case, you know, display case. And, that's great. But you've always got wall space, I find. Wall space is where things get toxic, because you can go vertical. You can go vertical in a lot of different places, like mini little bookshelves and things. It's worth it. It's always min-maxing your space. Like, you gotta measure things to the millimeter and figure out what else you can kind of, you know, make use of in your room. At least that's what I do. And I think, you know what, I've min-maxed this room so much with space that there's no more room. Things need to come out, not come in. So. Getting more stuff done. Yep, that's worth it, man. You know, I wish I had a fireplace, like a vintage one, in like a Warhammer room, because that'd look dope as hell. You can make it into some like dwarven fucking wall tavern thing, but yeah, for the sake of space, it's quite the bitch. IKEA is good though. You can basically get everything you need at IKEA, or for like actual display cases, you can go to like store displays, warehouses that sell things to like retail stores. They're a little bit more expensive, but they look nicer. But IKEA is perfect. Everything in this room is basically IKEA or like Value Village, like a charity store. I've got a lot of Detolfs. Yeah, they're good for Warhammer, but you need mod kits to kind of make them more spacious with shelves. Because the problem with the Detolf is not spacious, but more condensed with shelving. More dense. The Detolfs just have too much dead space. You put miniatures on a Detolf shelf, and it's like, well, you lose like 90% of the shelf, you know? If you've got knights, different story. The largest thing I have is a dwarf on a shield bearer, so, you know. I think it's really buying, like, I would say if you're going to use any sort of shelving from IKEA, you get white. White is so good for minis. This room's black, but I don't know. I prefer the black, but in a way I wish I had the white. You get white billies. Yeah, Detolfs are good for Gundams for sure. They're just bigger, right? They look better. You get white billies with doors, glass doors, and you put like lights in them, and that shit would look so clean. And very affordable. Probably the most affordable. Because the issue, again, is that there's no more Detolfs. You've only got the Balaladin, but the Balaladin sucks ass. The Balaladin is doo-doo. Terrible. Excuse me. it's smaller and it's just uglier, in my opinion. It doesn't look as good. It's also overpriced, which is, in this economy, very normal. An overpriced, shittier small thing compared to what it used to be? Wow, what a shocker. Lovely. Absolutely nobody surprised. Or again, you go for the go for like an actual store display from like a store just shop that sells display cases for retail. Those are nice, but they're like a little expensive. Sometimes the display is nicer than what you put into it, or rather, the display being nice makes everything else look nicer. But it's budget issues, space issues. I mean, everyone's got problems. The world's probably just not in a good spot. My goddamn IKEA shelves, please. My poor IKEA. Yeah, I really don't own much in the way of like kits. I have more stuff in the way of like merchandise type of stuff. Actual unmade kits. I mean, I broke all my kits down into like organizers a long time ago. Because I think if you have sprues, you're just wasting space, right? Sprues take up so much. So I ended up cutting all my sprues down, throwing away the excess. Basically just putting organizers, right? Tons of organizers. Hang on.
Shut up, you dickhead, now fuck off!
27. I'm getting old.
Aren't we all, brother? Hey, Maurice, thank you, man. 27 months. You've been here, I think, since day one, no? Day one, Giga Chad. I'm glad I made this channel. It's chill. I was the first. I think you literally are because that's what it says on your badge. Hey, thank you, man. I don't even know if... I don't think half the people who even come to this channel do Warhammer. It's cool if you do. If you don't, you know, you may want to. It's a fun hobby. It's just a little bit pricey. It's a bit expensive. Speaking of expensive, that new PlayStation's a fucking scam. Console gaming is so dead, it's insane. I hate console gaming these days. Just a waste. The only reason people do console gaming is for exclusives and nothing else. It's just trash. Too much money when you could just buy a PC. PC's a cure-all. PC does everything. Quinn, yo, buddy. They don't even have split-screen multiplayer anymore locally. It's so garbage. It's so... To me, console gaming is all about couch fun, right? Like, I would say the best console gaming, probably just Nintendo, right? Nintendo, like Mario Party and shit like that. Like, that's, to me, true console gaming. Nothing we get these days anymore. I don't think from most places aren't worth it. And I'm just saying in this, like, day and age. Because, you know, back in the day, oh, Call of Duty, oh, this and that, but... Nah, just play on PC. It's a waste otherwise, I find. Not worth it. Pure doo-doo ass. PS2 with pirated games. Well, anything that just... Console gaming is, for me, nostalgia. It's not current gaming. Current gaming is definitely the best on PC. If you wanted to go back and set up, like, a physical gaming station for the sake of going back and playing old games for fun, I get that totally, but... Anyone who swaps out, like, a fucking Xbox for a PC or a PlayStation for a PC, that is... You gotta get your priorities straight. That shit sucks. That is not worth it. I thought it was the absolute opposite a long time ago until I got a good PC, and I'm like, nope. Never again. Never again. That's true. You could also do that. People don't want to play games anymore. They'd rather watch it, right? I don't blame them. I feel like games, to me, are just playable movies. If you're in like, single-player games where it's big, you know, epics and all the story is so insane and the cutscenes, it's just a playable movie. And for me, well, what if I don't want to play the movie? What if I just want to watch the movie? So... Thankfully, I get my fix of, like, single-player games watching YouTube videos, mostly. You know, there will be games that I actually do want to play instead of watch, but I don't really buy games. Not anymore. Not like I used to. If I can still be as happy watching them as I did playing them back then, you know, I can put my money elsewhere, which is always a good thing. Legacy, yo, buddy. It's much of a chore. I mean, it just depends on why you play it. Maybe playing it with friends could be a bit better, you know, a bit more exciting. You need to reinvent ways to have fun. If you exclusively play it to win, you will not enjoy the game. League is not a game where you exclusively play it to win and then say, oh man, I'm having so much fun, because you're just not. Because you're not going to exclusively only win. You're not always going to have fun. There's too many variables. You just got to be realistic with yourself, you know? Pretty good. We're chilling, making metal minis, which is not always very fun, but it's different. Baldur's Gate 3 was supposed to be really good. It's not something I cared for, but, like, it did really well. People loved it. If they brought out a Warhammer version of Baldur's Gate, like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, the game, ooh-wee, that'd be amazing. I really wouldn't be surprised if they did, though. Imagine taking the world of Warhammer Fantasy and making a roleplay video game. Basically just Baldur's Gate with Warhammer Fantasy. Like, dude. Easy money. Well, they used to be a flop. I wouldn't say Warhammer games right now are floppy. They're actually pretty consistently good. Right now. Years ago, not so much, but right now, different. I think it's a matter of getting the IP into the hands of people who actually care about Warhammer. Like, most of the shitty Games Workshop titles came from, like, mobile developers, which, if you're making a mobile game, your number one job is to make money. And even if you're making a normal game, your job is to make money. I mean, some of them have been all right, from what I've seen, but most of them are trash. Just, there's easier ways to make money on the phone. Tons of little shitty microtransactions and everything. But yeah, most of the, You know what's crazy? Did you know there was a Warhammer Total War on the phone? And they had a lot of characters from Deep Lore that weren't even in the game, the base game? I don't even know if it got released, but they had a bunch of, like, actual character models and everything. Yeah, it was cool. I think they had a few dwarves. I'm not sure if they did, though, for dwarves, but they had a couple of named characters for sure. Even some new ones for the game. It's just so weird that they go, like, the phone route. It was tested in China. I mean, what isn't? If it's a phone game, it's beamed to China. China is the phone market. Did you end up getting any of the made-to-order dwarves, by the way? Main model is done. Nice. Yeah, the hey, whatever you do, don't strip the paint, bro. Don't strip the paint. Even if you hate it in a year or a month, if you completely dislike it, do not strip the paint. Keep it as a reminder. If you love it, that's great. That's perfect. But, you know, not everyone loves their first mini. Yeah. I would say the wave 2 of the pre-orders, or the made-to-order stuff, was better. I'm in no rush. I've got so many minis. The only thing I'd ever consider right now spending money on is the old weird white dwarf miniatures from like the 80s or 90s. Because I'm only missing a few of them. The lead ones. Even the Joseph Bugman ones, but again, old. Old minis. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's great, man. Being happy with what you've done is excellent. It's perfect. Helgar was, I'm surprised they never went with the rest of the Drong company, because there was a bunch of characters that had come out for the Drong campaign, but Helgar was kind of the most popular one, because she was like a female dwarf queen, which is cool. Yeah, now, it's, once you've got them all, you never need them again, right? It's a one and done. Only needing one is perfect. I mean, honestly, the big thing is that once you've realized it's not as rare as you think it is. You don't need to buy it just because you think, oh, made to order FOMO. Like, it'll come back one day again. It may take a year, it may take 2, it may take 6 months. They may be on eBay for retail. Like, it's not rare, it's not that big of a deal. If it's rare, okay, different story, right? Like, if you know you're never going to get this thing again because it's super ancient, which, when it comes to most Warhammer minis, I mean, you're talking real vintage is kind of the rare stuff. Otherwise, you're bound to get it one day. Anything 2000s typically is, it'll be back. All the made-to-order lords, like, you're gonna get Thorgrim. You're gonna get, probably, if they have the molds for Cazador, maybe Ungrim. Like, those guys, pretty big chance of coming back. You're gonna get Malachi. Malachi was literally cast with the Goblin Cure. Yep. As long as it's for a reasonable price. I'd say with the old world coming back, the market's kind of just dropped completely. Because Dwarf Lords are about 15 bucks each. 15 to 20 bucks per mini, which is about right. Anything higher than that on eBay is kind of sus. Yeah, that's good too. Just got to make sure they're real, because half the fucking people on eBay these days just sell you recasted garbage for the same price as a real one. And then you could say, who cares? It's painted. But, like, you want to get what you pay for, you know? I mean, you know what I saw recently? There was, in the dwarf section of the Discord group, a guy got a hold of a Dwarf Lord sprue, the rare one, the unreleased one, and there's a guy recasting them. Leave it to people, brother. Super illegal. Super not good, but, you know, people will do that stuff if there's money. If there is money to be made somewhere in the hobby, they will do it. And it's just, again, if you don't care, all right. You just want to get your money's worth, you know? I don't want to wear protective gear. I mean, it's not bad. This is a mask and, like, little protective goggles, you know? There's a certain honesty to metal. It can bring you back to a time where, if you have no nostalgia for metal, it doesn't matter. If you do, you know, it'll make you feel something. For me, a lot of my minis back in the day were all metal just because they came in blister packs. Or in actual boxes, but, you know, those were much bigger. The Dwarf Warriors, the Archers, Khazad Guard, the Balrog, certain pieces of tanks, entire squads, the Khazarkin, the Cadian Command Squad, the old Ogren on, like, square bases when they first, I believe it was their first release, maybe second. No, I like metal minis too. I like them, but I like to make them look as good as I can, and it's very hard for metal to look as good as it can. It's like, look at this. Look how the axe was cast. Like, what the fuck is that? How do I get that out? Right? So it's just a matter of... It's extremely tedious if you want to make it look really nice, but if you're not super anal, it doesn't matter as much. There's a lot of the, well, not even a lot of my entire childhood army, like my favorite one, is all metal. Like, I'll be painting these guys on stream if first thing I do, actually. But if you take a look at, like, you know, you take a look at this big diorama in Moria, right? Look at all those dwarves. That's cool. But then you realize every single fucking one of them is metal. Whereas I guess in the studio, they also had, like, the resins. Sometimes they'd make these out of resin and, you know, perfect casting, zero cleanup. If that's the case, well, it's a bit of a kick in the balls for the people who want to recreate shit like this, but everything here is metal. So, how do you, like, how heavy is this? You know, how much work is it to kind of clean up everything? Probably is resin, studio resin, but who knows? They're a little bit harder. Space Marine 2? No, not anytime soon. It's harder to see for sure, and you kind of don't know sometimes what's what. Like, when you work on a metal mini, you're kind of sitting there looking at it for a bit to figure out what the hell is this supposed to be, like, what comes off, what doesn't. But it's basically a slightly more tedious plastic cleanup with, like, a little bit more elbow grease. You just got to be a little bit more aggressive with it, right? Because it's a harder material. Longbeard filler, unit filler. A Longbeard unit filler. How about just a bed? Put a giant dwarven bed in the middle of them. I mean, it's a joke, but these motherfuckers need to go back to sleep. Goddamn the boomers. We got the old folk going to war. I think, I would say, I don't even know, honestly. I think Longbeards are kind of serious business, right? Like, they're really there to kind of get a job done. Show the beardlings what's up. Keg of Bugmans. I mean, I guess it depends on, like, how you're theming your army around their basing. Because if you're using, like, a certain type of basing theme, as an example, let's say you're making your dwarves kind of coming out of a set of, like, dwarven ruins, right? Like, they're reclaiming a Karak, or they're going out and trying to push out some of the enemies that are surrounding them in like the underway, whatever it may be. And the place they're fighting is very desolate, right? A lot of destroyed architecture and things like that. I mean, unit fillers could literally be things they bring with them. It could be the actual scenery that they're around, right? Like, you'll find a ton of Google images of, like, giant dwarven-faced pillars, bunch of, like, fallen rocks, things like that. But usually with dwarves, I mean, you've got your typical, like, pony cart dragging along a bunch of goods. With the miners, you've got, like, a cart full of pickaxes, like a laser. You know, you've also got your normal beer keg in the middle of the unit, kind of like with a bunch of guys sipping. Yeah, like I guess it depends on the theme of the army in terms of like what you want to do with unit fillers. Do you want to make it part of their story, or do you want to make it part of like just the unit themselves? Because when it comes to Longbeards, I can't really imagine. Oh, you want like nice looking things. Something regal. If they're on marble bases and kind of like, you know, the bloodline of like the kings and whatnot. I haven't really thought about Royal Clan modeling per se outside of like what you'd do with like the regular dwarf warriors. Do dwarves have pets? Not really. They got ponies. Um Genuinely, I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't think you could maybe be inspired by like some older artwork if there's anything lying around with like long beards and stuff, but if you want to make them look clean, I mean, if they're on marble flagstone, right? They're clearly inside their hold. They're leaving their hold. How about some really clean looking pillars? Some like really nice royal clans like architecture. Not anything destroyed, but pristine. To kind of sell the idea that like these guys have the money, they've got the bloodline. They come from a place of like importance, you know? Maybe having some sort of, yeah, like higher up architecture being involved would be pretty cool. Because this wouldn't really be. I don't think it'd be a group of like a motley crew. You know, like when you've got dwarf warriors who kind of band together either through clan or through like whatever it may be. You know, it's sometimes like a motley crew of them going to war to kind of defend their hold. Or if they do go together again as their clan and whatnot. In that case, I'd have a bunch of beers and shit lying around, like, oh, we just finished our fucking 9 to 12, whatever it may be, and you know, I want to go take a sip of something while I'm out here. Makes sense, but yeah, royal clans, stuff like that. Clean money, right? Like ornate. Show off their wealth. Show that they're from the bloodline of like the kings. You could make it look really good. Because I feel like if I was modeling royal clans, regular longbeards versus like actual royal clan longbeards or whatever it is, right? I'd say they're probably a little bit different visually. It would make sense. And again, there's probably so many different things online for like dwarven pillars and unit pillars and things like that. Like, I'm sure somebody's done it already, right? No, this is just a cover from a band. Magnus, yo, buddy. This has nothing to do with dwarves. It's just music. No, this is just, it's pewter. This is just a mix of different things. It's metal. It's not like chrome painted or anything. This is Warhammer. Warhammer, miniature making, scale modeling, stuff like that. I mean, you know what? Crazily enough, if you were going to do royal clans and you wanted to have them bring beer, you'd have to make the beer keg look pretty fucking nice, I'd say. Like something really, like gold trim. All the mugs are made of gold with like gems, things like that, if you really want to sell it. I think that would actually work. Or even, maybe some sort of like, some sort of like dwarven statue being carried by multiple guys, like some sort of like impressive historical significance to them, whether it's like a fallen Thane statue or something, or some sort of artifacts being brought to the field, you know, with again some sort of importance, right? Like you can make up your own shit. I guess all of that works. Kind of like a palanquin, you know, where you've got like the throne of power, 4 people holding it up. Instead, it's like a statue of a dwarf in gold, and then around it, just stuff. You could do a lot of cool things. Anything like that, I think, would work. The money. Well, you'd want to make them look like longbeards if you're going to make them into a longbeard unit. You can easily do shield bearers with the hands you get, or like palanquin carriers, whatever it may be. Either way, it's just modeling ideas. I'm painting Thousand Suns. Didn't they make an appearance in Space Marine 2? I think they did, right? Were they like the other big bad guy outside of Tyranids? It was like Tyranids Thousand Suns or something. Ramshackle, yo, buddy. Nice. History of Gimli. Bro, you gotta also factor in the goddamn game they just came out with, because apparently that's a thing. I doubt it being canon, but you know. $2,000 is a grind, Tuber Duck, yeah, buddy. It really is. It just depends on kind of what your force is. You know, if you're making custodes at 2,000 points, you're probably just like, oh, this is just an afternoon. But I've always loved infantry-heavy armies, so, like, most of the lists, or rather things I've played with in the past, were mostly infantry. Even if it's not good, it just feels more like an army, you know? But either way. I think no matter how you spin it, if you're making an army, it's good to just have at least one of everything. Whether or not it becomes good, or it's just cool on a shelf, having the entire range is fun. No, these are all pre-made. We're just cleaning them up. Person, yo, buddy. Yeah, him and, It's always kind of sad knowing what ends up happening to these beloved characters, like Gimli and fucking Legolas going to the Undying Lands. Like, you don't want them to die, but, like, what else do they have for them at the end of the road, you know? It's just like, I don't know if you've seen The Last Airbender, but the second version, I think it's called The Legend of Korra or something, so depressing. I can't watch stuff like that. It's meant for kids, but when you've seen the entire show and, you know, oh, it ended on a good note, and then it opens up in the New Age, The Legend of Korra, like this chick who's also a bender, whatever, and all the fucking original characters are just dead. They're all dead, and they're all immortalized as statues in the city. Like, oh, that's Aang, and that's this guy. It's like, what the fuck? It's so depressing. It really is. But that's just growing up. Growing up is depressing sometimes. Yeah, I mean, people are gamers for sure. They sometimes don't want things. I could care less. I could care less about what's good, what's bad. I just love dwarves. I don't give a fuck. A lot of people don't really care about, you know, what they're into. It's more so the army, but Warhammer's not really... Warhammer's a pretty big thing to get into. Like, it's a very time-consuming, long-haul process. Interesting that people would kind of just sell off armies because, oh, they're not good, or, oh, I don't like this anymore, but... I guess if you're more of a gamer, that makes sense, but if you're more of a creative type, it's a little bit different, because it's a lot of work that goes into it. Well, it's not really about the whole growing up thing, it's more of like, you've basically got characters that you've followed on a journey. Gotrek and Felix, sad as shit. It's the idea that all of these characters you might have read with, or you might have, like, watched shows on, and then down the line, you know, they come out with the sequel, the most anticipated thing ever since, like, Erasers. And the first thing they do is kill off all those characters. They're like, this is the new age. Like, okay. Very depressing. Well, you can get Warhammer at, like, big discounts for sure. Shows, stores, online. Warhammer is a thing that can only retain its value if it's either professionally painted, extremely rare, or brand new in box or on sprue. The second you paint it, that value goes to zero if it's not well painted. It's more of a personal hobby. It's a personal project thing, you know? You want to do something for yourself, and, oh, I love the look of it, and other people, you know, it's not for them, right? It's for you. I find a lot of average painted miniatures do really well with the D&D folks, so, like, if you're painting Warhammer to, like, a very solid standard, but nothing crazy, you could sell it for pretty decent money, but mostly to, like, D&D people, I find. You know, if people do just want tabletop standard armies, that's great too. That works, obviously, but well, you say that now. Under any circumstance, I would never sell my army. One day you will, or you give it to your kids. I've been that guy who said never ever would I ever do this, and then I did it, and now I'm like, that's life sometimes. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. Under normal circumstances, I think, is a better... Venom, yo, buddy. D&D mobs would be pretty fun to do. They're just, like, super easy to do. Slap them out, done. Yeah. Well, you know how you make things kind of pop the fuck off in terms of sales? Is you do all the guard regiments and you make them all unique. That's money. Space Marines are such an easy moneymaker because it's a blank template and then you kind of do whatever you want with them. But when it comes to, like, Imperial Guard and having very unique looks, like, first, the Krieg did really well. Obviously, Krieg are everyone's favorite. That is your first successful, you know, side regiment that did really well. Falarn is cool. I don't think... What would they do if they brought back another regiment to the state of, like, Krieg. They got to do Catachans. No, you got to redo the Catachans. They're way too iconic. Cadians, Catachans, Kriegers. You could go with the Talarans. You could go with the Vestroyans are really good too. Vestroyans are amazing. Valhallan Ice Warriors, amazing. Like, those are all very distinct, like, you know, climate-based, I guess, regiments. They're very different. These are metal, yeah. My favorite regiment, forever and always, I think will be Steel Legion Armageddon. Or just Steel Legion from Armageddon. Steel Legion visually is like Krieg Light, but they're really nice. Yeah, they're really old. Very, very old. They still sell them as well, so, like, yikes. Like, what do you even do with them at that point? Do they even make money? Do they make any money? Like, I want Imperial Guard to succeed, but for them to succeed, you need, like, big updates like the Kriegers kind of got, right? And they're coming out with Wave 2 of Krieg, so that says something. No, they're all inspired by something. It's just a matter of not what's cool, but what kind of sticks, you know? Well, I guess cool is subjective. Everyone loves Krieg. I don't really see it. I'm not really a fan of Krieg, to be honest. Again, I prefer the Steel Legion, but really boils down to what sells, what people want to buy. Whatever is going to be a money maker. Oh, shit. This is going to break. Big cracking. This one needs to be over here for now. Would you say it's a good idea to get my friends on Tabletop Simulator to try and play Warhammer once we don't know anything about it? Yeah, that's good. Super glue is for metal, yeah, or like epoxies. Like two-part things that you kind of mix together and it hardens. I would say so. I think Tabletop Sim is like one of the best things ever for Warhammer, to be honest. So, if you got buddies and you want to learn it, sure. You know, watch a YouTube video or two and then jump in, or get someone who knows how to play kind of teach you. It's endless fun once you know and you've got Tabletop Sim at your disposal, because you can do anything you want. Like endless replayability options with like any sort of terrain, any setup, any army. I played a shit ton during, I think, COVID through Tabletop Sim, and it's invaluable. It's just amazing. Battlescribe has that's all the rules, right? Been a while since I looked into that, but I believe it is. The hardest part about Warhammer, at least playing the game, is just remembering the rules. Like, once you played a bunch of games, it's second nature, but yeah, getting into it's a little bit of a slog. Yo, yo. Did they really? I mean, South Park did a little bit on 40K, I remember, in an episode. Not that I watch it, but it was on YouTube. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't really watch South Park. I haven't in a while. But yeah, they rip on a lot of different things. I mean, even Warhammer, right? That's certainly very popular now, but back in the day, maybe not so much in the spotlight. These days, everyone knows Warhammer. It's everywhere. People caught on. It's just 20 years late. "20 years too late." Or early. Photorealistic. Was it early? That's funny. It looked fairly legit when I saw it on YouTube. It looked like GW terrain and everything, yeah? 'Yeah, this is not Space Marine. Pretty sure there's a section on Twitch for Space Marine. This is like the actual hobby. This is the OG. They're not really finished. They're basically finished, but just imagine, well, when you make something, you can't really make it 100% perfect with the exact amount of material. There's always either a bit too much or a bit too little. And so when they make the minis, you've got a little bit excess material that you kind of have to like clean up. That's the idea. It's not like a perfect pour of all this stuff and it's like perfectly formed into the miniature and there's no excess and it's just an amazing casting. Typically, there's a little bit of little bit too much material that you gotta scrape away. Little imperfections you gotta go in and clean up. Yeah. Nothing is perfect. Even the new minis have a little bit of excess stuff you have to clean up, and those are done with like pretty good things, pretty good casting machines and whatnot. Well, I'll be painting soon and basing. I sculpted on stream. I'm very slow going with these processes. It's just try to get as much as I can. Painting is very back burner, you know, like, oh, I'll do it one day type of deal. Making these minis, fairly easy, just very tedious. You just spend a lot of time working away at them because they're all metal and there's so many different things you can't see. So whatever you end up working on, you're like, is this right? Did I cut it out properly? What the hell is half of this shit? You gotta scrape everything down with a knife, then you gotta go in with sandpaper, then you gotta fucking smooth everything out. I mean, this axe head is just terrible. Doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to be enough to where you like it, you know? You replace the blades, you don't sharpen them. Well, actually, crazily enough, I don't think painting's going to be too bad on these guys. In particular, because I'm not really doing anything crazy with them. I just want to make them look like they're right out of the 2000s. My beloved youth. My glorious nostalgia. My beloved nostalgia. Doing a Daniel, buddy. I haven't tried the new Space Marine, no. Not yet. Let's see, hang on. Hmm. 6 hours at least? Oh, probably more. Per mini, probably a little bit more than 6, most likely. But that's pretty reasonable, I'd say, no? But to be fair, the Lord of the Rings minis are pretty simple, and that's why I love them so much. Outside of just being very nostalgic. And I mean, you could literally batch paint all of them because they're all basically the same color. Like, this guy would be different because he's got a cloak and whatnot. He's more of like a king. But all the warriors, you'd just batch paint. They'd all have very simple, minor changes with like, oh, sleeves are black, sleeves are green, sleeves are yellow. But they're all the same colors. Most unique thing would be the beard. So the beards are kind of tedious. Why am I wearing a mask? I don't want to get this. This is bad. Bad metal flakes, no good. I mean, it'll be even worse when I sand it. Like, right now, we're good. But when you sand these fucking things, oy, oy. Better have that water available. Rings of Power? I mean, it was an acceptable watch as someone who's not, oh my god, I'm living, breathing, eating Tolkien stuff, but not my favorite show. Like, I could watch it. Best way to put it, I guess. I'm more interested in finishing the show at this point. Was there supposed to be a new episode? Tolerable. What's the production process of fully making a mini? As in, like, me finishing it, or, like, it being made? You could do any colors you want. Yeah, it's painting. You could paint this thing purple for all you wanted to. Me finishing it? Okay, so basically, you get the blister pack. Well, for the sake of these guys, let's just say these come in these old, you know, vintage blisters. $9. You take them out of the pack. You start cutting them up. So you clip up all the little things, bits and extras. You then take a knife. You go over it. You try and clean up all the minor imperfections. You do the best you can. And then to finalize the piece, you would take a bit of sandpaper and then you really go over it in certain spots. After that's done, you slot them into bases. So like this. The tab needs to be bent back into place, but they basically go into a base. Like this. And you glue them in. You then put your basing material, so like paste or sand. You spray paint the whole miniature, and then you paint. And then you seal it with like a sealant spray that, you know, helps you keep the paint on, and you're done. It's a different process to plastic. Like, with plastic, you could cut and sand and do all that stuff, like, a lot easier. But metal is annoying because it's just a harder material, obviously, to work with, so you have to be a little bit harder in how you clean it.
Shut up, you dickhead, now fuck off!
Yurt.
Artorius, yeah, buddy. Yeah, you paint the faces. Yeah, of course. The 3-ups, yep. Yep. I want to own some of them. I want to own the Skull Pass 3-ups. I wasn't aware of them. There's a guy who comes to the stream who worked for Games Workshop. He's very knowledgeable, and he was in the casting department and whatnot. I would love the 3-ups. I'd love to own the Battle for Skull Pass ones, because they're cool. With the knife, not really. Sometimes there's like a line going through the face where you can kind of like slightly scrape it off, but you're not really going in there. It's normally around the edges, like when this miniature was cast. How would you? I guess this is what, like, it's always a 2-part mold. It kind of goes in like this. You pour it, and then the ring around it is always kind of where you'd separate it, so a little bit of excess material kind of like seeps out. And so you typically go from like here to here looking for a line, right? So like right here is a good example. There's the line. So it would have went like this, down here, down here, down here. And you're just kind of going over the whole thing. You're just trying to get everything you can. Again, it's very hard to figure out what the fuck you're looking at half the time because metal is just not something that's good on the eyes. New episodes tomorrow? Gotcha. No, I keep them. These are all for me. If you were to sell them, I mean, depending on how well you paint them and all that crap, they could go for a lot more than what they retailed. A colored light, that could work. Yeah, that could be something. I also thought maybe a light dusting of a primer, just to bring out everything, and then you can work on it a bit more with a knife. Either way, if you really sit at this thing and kind of like scrape away for a day or two on all your minis, you'll get them done. But metal is certainly not the most fun thing to work with, but a lot of the most iconic pieces are made in metal. Like this was never made in plastic or resin. These were never made in plastic or resin. Actually, Ballin was made in resin. Yeah, so right there. Resin, metal, and a whole host of nightmares. A whole host of nightmares. Oh, the Perry stuff is the best. This is the Perry stuff. These are amazing. Absolutely. It's unmatched. Perry sculpts, like, I'm pretty sure everything in this book has to be Perry. Like, this is, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not, like, too familiar with a lot of the, non-dwarf stuff, but, like, the Kazed Guard, Perry. Ballin, Perry. It's just so good. This hasn't aged a day, and this came out in, this came out 20 years ago. It's very, I don't even think it's, like, a time capsule of minis either. It's not even like a particular sculpting style. This is just the end-all be-all Ballin Kazadgard. It's just sculpted perfectly. You can't improve on this. It's just so clean, so simple. It doesn't look retro. It doesn't look brand new. It just looks so good. Most of this, so metal. A few of these guys are metal. Like this guy should be metal. The rest of them are plastic. The goblins were never made in metal. So, all this is metal. Yep. Just so good. So good. Warhammer scented candles. I think I don't own any, so I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea, brother. Dowie King, I kneel. Skaven candles, you just have your whole house smell like piss. Dwarven scented candles, you have your whole like house smell like ass. You just have your whole house smell like trees, which, you know, that's cool. Trees and betrayal. No, I'm not. Yo, 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 yo. What is the best smelling Warhammer faction? The Orcs. Because if they want to smell good, they'll all think it, and they'll all smell good. Which is clearly on their mind. Necrons, yes, I mean, who knows? Not the flayed ones. All right. A lot of the initial scraping was finished, which means I can vacuum. Necrons smell like WD-40, do they really? I feel like the orcs would. That's more of like an orc thing, maybe. And like ass. Metal. Pewter. Mixes of metal. I can breathe! Oh my god, I can smell the room again. It smells like ass. It was so much healthier in the mask. Where is... There we go. You... Where is the other dwarf warrior? Why don't you get an industrial air cleaner? What am I, what am I, Kaisenet? Industrial air cleaner. What? Listen, we're out here in the slums, okay? We work with what we've got. We open a window. Industrial air cleaner. It's a bit expensive. Okay. Where is my sandpaper? I'm not sure I have any... I am missing my sandpaper. Oh, no, I'm not. Wagwan. I gotta chop those up later. All right. I'll probably have to end soon because I gotta go see my doggy. I gotta go clean a little bit. I gotta go see Moach. I gotta go eat. And sandpaper is the goat. If you ever do this hobby, you gotta get sandpaper. It's super good. Is Mochi sad? Probably. Mochi! Mochi! I mean, he's in the hallway right now. I gotta open up a bit more of the living room for him. I've been storing some stuff in the living room, so I've kind of like caged him off a little bit from all that crap. When is he building his first army? You mean when is he fucking eating his first army? I mean, I don't even know, man. Move fucking 50, attacks 1, strength 1, toughness 0, save 0. He's basically a grot with a lot of move speed and no gun, no ballistic skill. Mochi the Gretchen. The lowly grot. Sound-based attacks. What is he, Slanesh? The Noise Marine. Three attacks, yeah, to allies. He's Karn the Betrayer. You just can't be near him, or he does like friendly fire. Nah, super late maybe, but like it would have to be super late. I'm kind of busy today, as you can see. After this, which I will be leaving very, very soon, I've got a lot to do today, so my time is not the best. So maybe late, maybe like 9-ish, 9 p.m. ideally. Does anyone here use sanding sticks? By chance, does anyone here use sanding sticks? Sanding sticks. Sticks of sanding. If not, it's cool. You do? Do they come in grits? Like definitive grits, like 1,000 grit sanding stick or stuff like that? They do, really? What brand do you use? Are you in my Discord? Can you throw the link in the Discord? 2 to 2,000? Okay, that's pretty good. Sticks of sanding. No, I need to look into sanding sticks. Ones that are thin though, not like big thick things. Because I've got the sponge, I've got the paper. I would like to look into sanding sticks. Mainly for like the crotches, the dwarven crotch. It's the most disgusting. So you need sticks. The good old dwarven crotch sanding stick. Yeah, the Discord's there. I'm always trying to find ways to make miniatures better. Sanding sticks, I think, are a good addition. Exactly. I mean, it's convenience, really. Like, I like tools, but I like tools that you use daily. I don't want to fucking... There's so many different, like, gimmicky hobby things that you can go buy, and it's like, your desk is going to be loaded with shit you don't even use. And as of late, I've kind of, again, parted ways with a lot of that crap, and I've stuck to the stuff that actually is good. And sanding sticks, 100%, are keep on the desk. Good. Any sort of sandpaper, stick, sponge, always on the desk. Yeah, I'll take a look. Honeson 100. Oh, those are pretty thick. Yeah, the smaller, the fine detailing ones. Let me take a look at these. Oh, wow, those are like funky looking, eh? They're like Q-tips, almost. Interesting. What are the other ones? See, that's... Yeah, the one you linked last. Hmm. I want to find, like, the thin sticks of them. Yeah, I appreciate it. You're good, man. Hey, you don't gotta stay. You do whatever you want, man. I appreciate it. I'm gonna try and find the stick variant. Because, like, you're from the UK, I'm from Canada. Yeah, if you want, sure. I'm curious, yeah. I'm gonna have to look locally for mine, because Amazon Canada is different from the UK. You look like a duck. Do I really? I'm a freak. A duck faction. In Blood Bowl, they got geese. They got badgers, I think, in Blood Bowl. Hmm. Yeah, those sanding sticks would be great right now. A little torturous, but... Yeah, I'll take a look. They're a little... Can you chop them? Or are they kind of firm? Like, would you be able to stick that thing between Slayer's legs, basically? You can? Would you stuff it between the legs? Like, would that work? Because that's ideal, if you want to go crazy with it. You can? Okay. Well, I'll look into that then, honestly. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll check those out. Time or money for another game? Blood Bowl's cool. It's very, I've got my Blood Bowl stuff that I wanted to work on recently, because that's also a one and done. I don't want to convert anything. So... I will look on Amazon after this stream briefly and hopefully find something local, something one-day delivery, 1,000 grit. Because that's kind of the last piece of the puzzle I'm missing. But I mean, overall, as long as I can get sandpaper on all of these things, you want them, but these are ace firm enough, but can cut in half. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. All right, I'll give it a try. Maybe there's also smaller ones as well, like thinner ones. I've never really dabbled in sanding sticks. I've got sponges, I've got paper, but sticks I've never bothered with, but I can see the appeal. I can see why they're good. Especially for working on metal. Metal is... It's a little, unfun at times, I suppose. You want convenience. There's no way this is getting in my lungs, but Jesus Christ. Just water. Yeah, dreadnoughts they're good. They're really, really good. It's just water, so everything I sand is kind of pooled together so the dust doesn't get anywhere. Wet sanding everything is the way to go. Wet sand everything. Now with metal being back on the menu and everyone kind of getting back into it, learning to clean metal's kind of, it's basically the same thing as plastic. Like, I don't think you'd use any different techniques outside of maybe a lower grit on sandpaper here and there. It's more of just how much work you put into it, I suppose, is how good it'll look. Because you could sit here and, you know, sand for ages to make sure everything's kind of rounded out and smooth and, you know, as it should be. But it's the same thing as building plastic minis. It's just not as fun. Or maybe it is fun. Maybe people like it. Maybe to them it's nostalgia. We're good. I gotta go check on Mochi here in about 2 minutes. Or after this song, I gotta go, basically. I gotta go see Moch. Mochi's never allowed in this room. This room is, no good. He's got the good air elsewhere. Yeah, Mochi, he goes out enough. He's very happy. He's a lovely little happy dog. Yo, yo. Well, we're about to get out of here. What's on the agenda? Leaving! The song's about to be over, so I'm gonna go. You are at a very unfortunate time. You know, I'll give it one more song. One more song. If this is a short song, ooh. It's not. We'll do one more song. How generous, indeed. I mean, I've got more stuff to do. I'd like to just sit here and whittle away, but... I do have a few things to do today. You know, it is kind of refreshing to clean metal minis. It's a bit different, but it's more of, nah, it's metal dust. I don't want metal dust on me. But, I guess the idea of cleaning a metal miniature is that it's just one piece or two pieces. It's not as, like, elaborate. But yeah, it's metal flakes. I don't want them on me. In this hobby, it's good to clean up profusely after you're done kind of doing something. One piece. You're making a dwarf Lord of the Rings army. See, now I gotta talk about it, which means I can't leave. I'll give it one more song. I mean, I grew up with, like, all of the Warhammer, but for me, my first, like, real army was Lord of the Rings dwarves. So, this is more of a nostalgic, you know, going back in time to, like, my youth and kind of building my army from when I was a kid. And I sold all my stuff off from my childhood, so, like, I had all of these. I had them painted. I had them all based. And, thankfully, I still had some in storage, so, like, I gotta go back and I gotta make the entire metal army. The Shadow and Flame. which was the one book I'd flip through every day, either on the way to school or the way to, you know, like, oh, we got to go to the dentist. All right, Shadow and Flame. So, it's just nostalgia. Good times with these minis. And I've got a bunch of them. It's just a matter of kind of, do I want to make an entire army of monopose metal minis? I think I will. Monopose may not be the most fun, but it's good memories. And I love them. I love the look of them, so it's even better. All the new ones are either cast in plastic or resin, which isn't too fun, but yeah, it's super simple, super classic, just one piece. All of them are one piece, right? Like one piece. Classic Dwarf Warrior with a great weapon. Dwarf Archers, very cursed, but it's a thing in Lord of the Rings. Dwarf Kings, Dwarf Khazad Guard, you know, just classic minis. Very simple ones, too. It's a dwarf trying to be nothing but a dwarf. So I love it. Easier to paint, easier to build, you know, not much thinking. No ideas for conversions. Basing is going to be super simple. It's one color. The rim's going to be gray. It's going to be exactly like it looked in the 2000s from the book. Everything about this army is meant to just be of that era. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Anything to invoke my childhood. Yeah, take it easy, man. I'm actually leaving here in like less than a minute. The song's going to be over, but I'm going for good now. It is over. Wait. Fuck. Really quickly. Okay, I'm good for now. I'm gonna take a break. I need to go. If you catch me on again, I may be on tonight on this channel, or I may be on the main channel, but I'm gonna go. Everybody take care of yourselves. Have a great night, great evening, great day, wherever you're from. And, oh my god, ew. Why is it white? Ew. Mold. Mold started to grow in my gloves. Clearly.